one to implement here in the United States. We believe the Constitution should be replaced by the Quran.
So that's not going to happen. It's just not. Yeah, I know you're doing it over there in Europe. Yeah, Europe, just Ireland, everybody, all in a big mess over there. Yeah, so see, yeah, so America will probably have to, do something about that too at some point. You know what? No, I don't think America will have to. I think God will handle it. Yeah, not Allah, but God. See, especially here in America, let me just, give you a little tidbits as somebody who's born in America, okay? Well, who stands for American values. I don't want to say, like somehow it makes you more special to be born here, because we have plenty of citizens that actually come and they want to be truly American citizens because they love our values and stuff. So I don't want to be, like only people that are born here. But let me just let you know. See, God protects America. Clearly not the Middle East. I mean, maybe Allah protects the Middle East, right? I mean, you got all that war going on there. Just saying. I'm done playing the political correct game bullshit. Done with it. So, you have plenty of leftists in this country that will do everything to help you, because clearly the leftists have always been on the wrong side of everything. They were for keeping slavery in place while the Republicans fought against it. They're against, every faith except for, the radical ones. They're against freedom of speech while they want to claim that they're for. Yeah, so you'll have plenty of help from them. However, and they're proving that in my comment section. These people that get in my comment section and act like Trump is the danger. No, Trump's actually the liberator. I mean, he is, thank God for him. But leftists hate that because they hate freedom. They want women to be oppressed by the Muslim Brotherhood. They want women to be under Sharia law, which means look, women's rights here in America, your women's lib shit, out the window. So why leftists are all like up in arms about Trump is beyond me. Like the most stupidest women ever in America that are going after Trump when you see what's going on there in Europe. So without Trump, that's actually here in many ways, like in Minnesota very heavily, in Michigan very heavily. And this is the radical sect. They don't care about, there's a reason they don't assimilate in Europe. But Europe did the open borders bullshit, okay, because of the globalist shit that they never should have got on board with. All right, so now they're people, and I feel bad for the people of Europe, but you kings there, you 7 kings in the EU, all right, look at what you're doing. Yeah, you're completely destroying your own culture. So was it worth it? Was it worth it in the end? Because those very people that you think, oh, we're just going to be open and loving to everybody, you can't do that. Because there's people that want it. We learned this after 9/11. Yes, we did. I learned all about the radical Islam. I went to the library, I went to Barnes, and I did every research because I couldn't fathom why people would fly, planes into buildings. Like what would, I mean, and then of course, though, that's the same type, mentality that goes into Gaza back when the Jews were living in Gaza and would, Yasser Arafat or ISIS, Hamas, Hezbollah, take your pick. I mean, there's like a million terrorist organizations throughout the Middle East that decides, radicalizes the children to strap bombs to themselves because what they tell them is that when you die, you'll get to heaven and there'll be 72 virgins waiting for you. No joke. It's what they tell them. Does that seem like it's the true Almighty God? No, it's a God, all right. It's not the true Almighty God. Let's like face what God that is, though. Just saying. So, they use this bullshit. This is our religion. No, it's not. No, this is your political quest. And it's to overthrow countries. That has been their agenda that's not a new thing. That has always been their agenda. The problem they have is that, see, the biblical God, the real God, not Allah, the real God, he actually protects America, and that's never going to fly. And I've said for years now, since doing videos, why that will never, ever happen. So see, you can have You can have the entire Middle East try to come up against America, and God will smack your asses down. He will. I mean, 9/11 was a wake-up call. But compared to what you got going on there in the Middle East, the constant explosions and, constantly just hating on a group of people that you want to see annihilated, talk about not a mindset of anything holy at all, okay? But you cannot win because America is the lighthouse. So see, when you try to take the lighthouse away, and what I mean by the lighthouse is it's in the Old Testament about this, how God, I've talked about a million times how God hands nations over. He does. Because this is why the Bible was your handbook, it's your history book, okay? So what happens is everybody falls into the false idol worshiping, whether it's Allah or Baal or whatever. I mean, it doesn't matter, okay? And so eventually when there's enough people that fall into that, God hands the country over. He makes it very clear. He does. He just turns his back. So when he turns his back, then he turns you over. Now, for the people that do believe in that, the real God, he protects them. I don't want to make it sound like, But for your country prospering and being peaceful and actually having freedom, it's like he hands you over to your enemies. So America has been the one. So God is fine if the whole world's going to, put themselves under communism because they don't want to believe what he says in the Bible. Then that's what happens. I mean, it's happened since the Bible. We've had the Bible, and it's gone on throughout history. Like, you could just look at countries and see how it happens. So America was especially created for many reasons. One of the biggest was God wanted to have a lighthouse because otherwise the whole world was going to fall into, being damned. All nations would end up falling into being damned. So there had to be one nation to be a lighthouse for those that wanted to get away from the damnation. So if radical Islam thinks they're going to come and they're going to change our Constitution, so you're not going to win. Like, you're so not going to win that God will just, you should maybe read the Bible. It might tell you what God will do. Yeah, so it's just not going to happen. It just won't. There's a reason that God protects America. Again, for the leftists will never get it because they're too busy helping the terrorist organizations, really, marching with them out of the universities and all. But America has not been a country that's been around that long. We are a small country next to the superpowers of China and Russia, and then, the EU, but the EU is nothing, really. I mean, it's just not, really. I mean, even though there are all these countries combined, and now they're suppressing speech. But here's the thing. America should have been squashed a long time ago. So that should tell your Allah that, you don't want to take on. You do not even want to mess with America. You don't. Like, first of all, our people here, well, except for the leftists, but the true patriotic Americans that know what our Constitution was about, know that the country was founded on biblical values, whether Allah likes it or not, it's the truth. But the fact is that there's enough people that will stand up and die and will fight against it. Now in Europe, they're suffering. They're suffering, and I feel bad for their people because I knew this after 9/11 when I learned about what Islam is about. This is what they do. They lie to you. They lie to your country. They get into political offices. That's why you got Ilhan Omar there and Rashida Tlaib. Yeah, that's why they're there. I doubt Ilhan Omar is even a legal citizen, okay? I think, isn't she married to her brother or something? Seriously. So, but they have there's parts of Minnesota and I think Michigan and probably other areas that have implemented Sharia law alongside of our U.S. law. So see, you can't have a country that's under two sets of law and expect it to maintain itself. So, Islam may get far with Europe and all these other countries, and at some point we'll have to, hopefully maybe bring those citizens in, for asylum to get away from that radical crap. But you will never, ever, ever, 100% guaranteed with my life, will you ever take down America. and destroy us. Other way around.